What's good, y'all? I'm here and I'm back with another video for you. Today, I'm going to tell y'all why I'm on probation right now and how I caught those charges. Let's go.
30 round extended, going up on a Tuesday. These scrippers up in here scripping. Movie night, Blu-ray, we pulling shucks in my city. Gunfights.
So, this starts in 2015. On April 3rd, 2015, I had a court date for a misdemeanor charge. It was leaving the scene of an accident. I had hit a car leaving out the Dollar Tree, and I dipped, and somebody chased me down and took a picture of my license plate, and they came and got me later on that day. So when I went to court, they just scheduled me another court date. So about 1 o'clock the next day, I was asleep, and I wake up, and it's 3 big-ass sheriff's officers in my living room. And they said they had a warrant for my arrest. So they took me to jail, and I still didn't know why I was being arrested because they didn't never tell me. They wouldn't tell me. When I get to the jail, I go in the magistrate box, and they tell you what your charges are and what your bond is. So they said they had 2 sealed indictments for me, 1 for sale of Schedule 2 narcotics and 1 for sale of Schedule 3 narcotics. And my bond was $40,000. So when I come out the magistrate box, one of the officers is walking by and he said, "Oh, we got another warrant for Mr. Pete. And it's another sealed indictment." So now I got 3 sealed indictments and $60,000 bond. And the way sealed indictments work, if you get a sealed indictment, that means they've already been investigating you and building a case against you. And they've already presented it to the grand jury. And they feel like they already have enough evidence to convict you. And then they go ahead and arrest you then. My bond was so high, and since it's sealed indictments, like, they already got me, you know what I'm saying? So I had to sit there. I wasn't getting out. Up until this point, I had been to jail a few times, but I'd always made bond. I think the longest I ever spent in jail before this was like 5 days, something like that. What made it worse was I had a bunch of drugs at the house, and since they got me while I was asleep, I didn't have time to get high first. I had a blunt sitting on top of the TV, and I had a Crown bag up under my couch that had the rest of my weed, some Roxys, some subs, and like 100 blue Xanax footballs. And I didn't get to do none of it before I went to jail. So I was kind of upset about that. I had been going to the doctor, and I was getting subs and Xans from the doctor. And I was drinking every day. I was an alcoholic at this point. So it wasn't long before I started withdrawing. Like, before they got me upstairs, I was already going through it. The only good thing was they give me Klonopins and Librium for the benzo and alcohol withdrawal. Because opiate withdrawal, you just feel like you're going to die, but you ain't really going to die. But benzo and alcohol withdrawal, you can really die. So they give you something to help you out with that. And so that made it a little better. I could sleep a little bit, but I didn't start feeling better for like a month. It was bad. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. First, I was in jail. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was going to be there for a while. And I was having some of the worst withdrawals of my life. It was like 45 days when I finally went to court. And that's when I found out exactly what my charges was. So there was this guy named Bo that started working with me in 2013. He had just moved to Tennessee from New York. And he was a heroin junkie. I wasn't really dealing with H at the time. I would every once in a while, but I did have Roxys and subs. And he would pay crazy amounts for whatever I had. He would overpay for everything. And so I really didn't like the guy, but he was spending so much money that I dealt with him for like 2 years straight, almost daily. Unfortunately, he ended up working with the police and being a confidential informant. He was on probation, and I guess he got in some trouble or whatever. And instead of doing his little time, he flipped and started working with the police and turning people in. And I was one of the people he set up. So he had wore a wire on me 3 times when I sold to him. When they do these sealed indictments and work with confidential informants, they can hit you with the indictments years after the fact because they try and protect the informant so nothing happens to them. They think that since it's been so long, you done sold to so many people, you ain't gonna know who the informant was. When you go to trial, they'll have to testify against you. But if you don't take it to trial, in the paperwork, it just says CI, a confidential informant. It don't say the name. But one of the days they had me selling to them was on my birthday. And so I know exactly what happened that day. I remember like it was yesterday. So I knew exactly who the informant was as soon as I seen the paperwork. So they had me selling to him 3 different times. One time it was Adderall. I thought it was weird at the time because he was a opiate junkie, you know what I'm saying? Like he always bought opiates. I was wondering why he bought Adderall, and he told me at the time that it was for somebody else. And I would usually meet him either at my house, at work, or at his house. And that day he didn't want to meet at his house. He wanted to meet at the apartments close to his house. And it was all weird that day. And I remember vividly, like it was yesterday. And when I seen it on the paperwork, it hit me like, yeah, everything was odd for a reason that day because he had a wire on it. He set me up. So they had me selling them subs twice and Adderall once. I took a plea deal at court because they had me red-handed. Wasn't no sense in taking it to trial. So they ended up giving me 6 months to serve and a 5-year suspended sentence. So what that means, I would have to serve 6 months from the time I got arrested, and then they would let me out, and I would be on probation for 5 years. And if I violated that probation, I could have to serve the remainder of my sentence, the rest of the 5 years. So I did that. I got out in August 2015. I did good for about 2.5 years, and then I violated the probation. I failed the drug test, and they sent me back to jail. I got out again and I violated 2 more times. I thought for sure the last time I violated, I was going to have to serve my sentence because it was my 3rd violation. And luckily, they let me out into this intensive outpatient rehab program. And I have to complete that, and then I'll be back on regular probation. So I have about 4 years left on probation right now. That's what happens when you sell drugs. You never know who's working for the police or what could happen. And one thing goes wrong, and that could be the end of your life as you know it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just lucky that I hadn't went to prison yet. It wasn't worth it selling drugs because all the money I made, when you average out all the time I spent in jail, that money wasn't nothing, you know what I'm saying, compared to being free. Because jail ain't where you want to be, man. Like, it ain't fun. You make it fun while you're in there. You try to anyways, but ain't nothing good about it. It's boring as hell. Going through withdrawals in jail is the worst. And yeah, man, I'm just lucky to be out doing my thing right now. Trying not to get jammed up again. So hopefully I will be off probation in 2024. So I would have turned that 5 into 9 years on probation instead of 5 because I violated 3 times. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate all the love. Thanks for watching. If you hadn't yet, hit the subscribe button. Join Team HIP. If you like this, hit the like button. Show some love. Comment down below what y'all want me to talk about, man. We'll get it popping. I'll catch y'all on the next one.
Plug ballin' like Diddy. Damn. One flight, 2 days. He drop it out, I knock it out. I count it up, I ship it. I ain't got time for nickel and diamond. I'm in the kitchen, man. I'm whipping.